I'll call this meeting to order. It's the regularly scheduled meeting of the Transportation Public Works Committee, this day, May 2nd, 2017. I'm Councilmember Reich. I'll be chairing today's committee, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Council Members Yang, Glidden, Palmisano, and Gordon. We are a quorum of the committee and may proceed with today's agenda, which has 16 items. We have 3 public hearings and a discussion item. The remainder is on consent. I'll go through the consent items first. Any committee member can pull them for further consideration at their pleasure. Item 4, the first item on consent, is the Special Service District's 2017 Operating Plan and Budget Amendments. Item 5 is the Emerson North and Fremont Avenue North Pedestrian Bikeway Improvement Project layout. Item 6 is the Lindale School Crossing Project, Safe Routes to School Grant Agreement Terms and Conditions and Maintenance Commitment for that project. Item 7 is the 42nd Avenue North Street Reconstruction Project, Special Assessment Reduction for 3800 Penn Avenue North. Item 8 is the I-35W Lake Street Transit Access Project, Supplemental Agreement to the Cooperative Agreement with MnDOT related to sanitary sewer design. Item 9, I-35W Lake Street Transit Project. It's a supplemental agreement to a cooperative agreement with the MnDOT division related to water main design. Item 10 is the biannual routine maintenance agreement between the City of Minneapolis and the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Item 11 is the Federal Highway Safety Improvement Program funding, and that's authorizing acceptance of additional funds and resolution appropriating funds to the Public Works Department. Item 12 is the Traffic Zones Restrictions and Controls First Quarter Report. Item 13 is the bid for 18th Avenue Northeast Street Construction Project. Item 14 is the bid for Nicollet Island Pump Station Construction Project. Item 15 is the bid for cleaning of large diameter sewer system. Anyone wish to discuss those items further? If not, I'll move all items as submitted. All in favor say aye. Aye. Dissenting nay. That carries, and we can go to our public hearings. The first one listed is the 8th Street Southeast. Project is from Central Avenue Northeast to 15th Avenue Southeast, and that's a resurfacing project. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Mike Kennedy, the Director of Transportation Maintenance and Repair, will present this item.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Mike Kennedy from Public Works. Here, the first public hearing about 8th Street Southeast resurfacing project. On January 27th, the City Council designated the location, streets, and improvements proposed to be made in the 2017 street resurfacing program. This project was one of those. The 8th Street Southeast resurfacing project is, as shown on the diagram here, is from Central Avenue Northeast to 15th Avenue Northeast. The project is anticipated to be resurfaced in the fall of 2017. Proposed street resurfacing special assessments were determined by applying the 2017 uniform assessment rates of 65 cents per square foot for non-residential properties and 22 cents per square foot for residential properties. We had a community meeting on April 24th to introduce the project to the neighbors and let them ask questions. There is a related project on 8th Street Southeast, a bikeway project that is being completed after this is resurfaced. That plan and project has its own community outreach program that has been underway as well. So today, our recommendation is passage of a resolution ordering the work to proceed and adopting special assessments in the amount of $270,412.93 for this project, and passage of a resolution requesting the Board of Estimate and Taxation authorize the city's insurance and sale assessment bonds in the appropriate amount for the project. That's my presentation. I can take questions if you'd like.
Any questions for the presentation? Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to know what the distance is with regards to this resurfacing project, and also just the total cost.
The length of the project, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but as I said, it's from 15th to Central here. It's probably quarter mile, something like that. The total cost of the project, I'm not sure we've got that. So is that enumerated here in the letter? Right. Right. The whole resurfacing program is $6.7 million. This is a portion of that. It's probably very close to the assessment amount.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, typically in the past, I've seen it so that we've segregated each project so that we know, exactly the cost of each project. But for the next two items. I mean, we don't see that. We just see the total assessment rate. And I just would like to see that just because typically speaking, constituents, residents want to see that just to see, what percentage they're paying relative to the total cost.
We very deliberately combine them all into this to keep the assessments uniform throughout the projects. We can get that information for you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? See none, I will open the public hearing. We do have people who signed in. I'll take them in order, beginning with Karen Cook. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Oh, please come to the podium so it can be recorded for the public record.
So my name is Karen Cook. I am here representing Manor Homes of Old St. Anthony, which is a townhome complex between 8th Street and 7th Street. And we actually don't have any issues with the resurfacing project. We do have much issue with the proposed removal of parking on one side of the street. So what I am here asking is, where do we get heard about those concerns? We have written letters to Jacob Frey. We have talked to people at the Marcy Homes Neighborhood Association. We actually filed a grievance. What we're hearing is, it's a done deal, sorry, too late. And it doesn't seem like there's an avenue to express our concerns. So that's kind of what I'm here for, and I don't know if this is an appropriate question for this particular.
Certainly, we will take all testimony, and just for efficiency, then we will aggregate them and respond accordingly.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Karen Ericson. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Karen Ericson. I live at 333 8th Street Southeast in St. Anthony condominiums. I have the same concerns as the previous speaker. I've tried to talk to my councilperson and other people, and I don't either don't get responses or don't get responses that make any sense. There are two other bike paths. There's on University and 4th Street. Those are one-way streets. On 5th Street, the total street is dedicated to bikes. I do not see why 8th Street needs to be added for the bikers. And frankly, I don't have a problem with the assessment, except for if I can't use the entire street, I think the bicyclist should be assessed for part of it. There's a limited number of bikers that would use that street. They will not use it in the winter. They will not use it at night. They will not use it in inclement weather. And yet the people of 8th Street will not be able to park on their street. They'll have to park blocks away if they can even find a place to park. They are currently building a 5-story apartment building on 9th Avenue and 8th Street, as well as about 20 townhouses that have no dedicated parking. I'm assuming some of those people will have cars that will be added to an already crowded neighborhood. All the side streets are parked with cars already. There's no place to add those 8th Street park people that can no longer park there. I walk the neighborhood practically every day. I've lived there for 26 years. It's a challenging place to park as it is. There's no reason to take away half of the parking.
Thank you. Certainly, but I'm going to take one more in order, and then you can come forward. You can also sign in with the clerk's office. So Bill Hunziker, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I live on 8th Street. I'm speaking only for myself and my wife, but usually when you have a special assessment, you're getting a benefit from it, like a project or something. But our street services the city. Ever since the bridge went out 10 years ago, the traffic has increased on 8th Street exponentially. And I think half the world, at least during 4 and 6 p.m., has discovered it's a great shortcut through the neighborhood and off of the major streets and the freeways. And all I see that we're doing is increasing the benefit for whoever is using this to get through. I don't object to fixing the street. I certainly need to do that. But I want the assessment to be fairly distributed. And I'm not sure that we're getting a lot of benefit by increasing the convenience for these people coming through the neighborhoods. We also have major developments on the street. I'm not sure that the people who are the single-family homeowners here aren't paying for the benefits for people who are going to moving into new developments down the block, who are telling us that our single-family home is outdated. Not that it's outdated, but that's a thing of the past, that we should expect to stay in a single-family home. And we keep hearing different things about the street. You just heard a discussion about parking. They're going to take off one lane of the street to put in parking to put in a bike lane. That's the current development. A year ago, it was to have a truck route for people coming from the industrial park at Elm Kasota. You know, I want the street to be good. I don't want to keep hitting potholes, and there are some really bad ones, especially on the other side of 35W, but I want the tax to be equitably distributed, and I think we should acknowledge that the state promised to fix this street back when the bridge fell in, and I don't think they've done any major overhauls since. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else sign in? Anyone wish to come forward and speak? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name's Mary McDunn, and I live right on 8th Street, 736 3rd Avenue Southeast. Even though I'm in that big conglomeration of townhomes, I actually live right on 8th Street. And I am very concerned about the parking there. We have no parking the way it is, and we have new businesses coming in on Hennepin Avenue that are being very successful, which is great, like the Bad Waitress. But there's all kinds of other retail stores, space there that they're getting ready to fill. And you're going to take away one whole side of the street of parking. And also, being a senior citizen, I have 2 prosthetics. And this is not very kind to those of us that are differently abled or are of senior status. And we have a lot of those people in our townhome situation. And I would hope that you would give some consideration or let us know where we can take our concerns about losing this parking. I was just speaking to Karen and thinking about the people that came and took care of me after my last surgery, not knowing where these people would possibly park, because I am right on Hennepin and 8th. You can't park on Hennepin. The next cross street is 2 blocks up. It's not 1 block up, it's 2 blocks up. And to think about where these people that came into my home to help me would even park or know where to park, or people visiting me. We just need to have a place to talk about the loss of this parking. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to come forward and give further testimony? Does anyone wish to come forward? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask staff to come forward to address the questions that were presented.
Mr. Chair,
Oh.
Nathan Koster is here to join Mike Kennedy to help answer some of the questions about the bike lane processes.
Very good. Yeah, and just to note, there was definitely some process questions, input, layout review, in addition to a historical question regarding the state offering to fix that road per the bridge collapse. I don't know if there's any record of that. And then I think the last testimony about just the pedestrian mix and how we treat pedestrians and people with other issues.
Mr. Chair, Mike Kennedy again. I will try to address the project-related questions. One of the questions too is about kind of fairness of other people paying for this. The resurfacing program is made up of a combination of assessments and MSA funding and net debt bond funding and things like that in aggregate. And so there are a variety of users that are paying for this. In fact, bicyclists pay for it. Most of them drive too, so they're paying gas tax and things like that, and property taxes. I don't remember, I do remember the 35W bridge collapse and the repaving program that they did. I don't remember if 8th Street was part of that or not, but all we can say is that at this point, if it wasn't, it was because it was all agreed that it didn't suffer enough damage to qualify for that program, but otherwise the street is now in a condition where resurfacing is a very appropriate step to take in extending life cycle for the street. Regarding other questions about the bike lanes and pedestrians, I will defer to Nathan Koster from our planning group, who's been heading up that separate process. One thing to note is that none of these assessments are going toward the bike lane project itself. It's just for the road resurfacing.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Nathan Koster, Supervisor Transportation Planner in Public Works Transportation Planning and Programming Division. I'm here to address the questions related to the Bikeway project. This is an opportunity-driven project that our division looks at in coordination with other resurfacing projects. Per our bicycle master plan, we look at these specific routes that overlap with our resurfacing projects to look at them as opportunities to implement our city's bicycle master plan. We coordinated with both Ward 3 office as well as the Marcy Homes Neighborhood Association. As a part of this independent project, we coordinated 4 community meetings over the course of September through January. This included introducing the project as well as working closely with the neighborhood association to address a lot of the data collection concerns they initially had, as well as issues related to pedestrian safety that they brought up, sightlines, and other questions related to bikeway routing in the neighborhood. We were able to address a lot of those questions that they had through a number of these meetings, as well as collecting additional data related to the parking. We went out there to collect additional data both on 8th Street while school was in session, as well as on adjacent side streets. As a part of this process, we worked with Marcy Homes Neighborhood Association to develop an outreach that included social media posts as well as other mailings and flyers to provide information about the project as well as the specific project website. The neighborhood association did also create an online survey soliciting approximately 200 responses about the project to gather further input. We worked closely with residents that brought forward concerns as well as the neighborhood association related to the project. As a part of this, we did look at parking mitigation along the corridor as well as addressing additional concerns from the neighborhood association throughout this project. We did look at a number of the additional questions that they had after the outcome of looking at the design that we did recommend and was supported by the neighborhood association to continue to monitor and evaluate parking mitigation in the neighborhood as well as impacts related to the bikeway project.
And in those communications, they would have, particularly the mailings, would have included the immediately impacted or adjacent, project adjacent addresses?
Correct. Primarily, some of the biggest concerns were on the eastern end of the corridor is looking at a lot of the adjacent side streets, as well as ways to bring back parking capacity to the area, as well as some of the central portions of the corridor, and specifically a lot of the areas to the western portions, as some of the speakers had mentioned, and continuing to evaluate as the project is implemented to see if there are additional ways to bring back further parking or address any of the concerns that there are related to the parking impact of the area. We understand that with these projects, there are impacts, but we look at ways to mitigate those and potentially bring back other parking spots as possible.
Thank you. Any other questions while we have staff making their clarifying comments? Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Koster, typically speaking, when constituents or residents show up, they, pose the question, is this a done deal? And can you answer that?
We are currently working with Ward 3 to follow up on some of these questions. We did get support from the neighborhood association. They do understand there's impact, but based upon our recommendation of the Bikeway project, we did get strong support from the neighborhood association, coordinating with their master plan as well as our bicycle master plan as far as implementing the Bikeway.
And so at this point, for the businesses or the residents who have issues with it, where's the best place to take their complaints?
We are still collecting, Public Works is still collecting comments as well as staff from the ward office.
Mr. Chair, if I could add here, Mr. Chair and Councilmember Yang, for the residents who gave testimony today, our staff can take their name and specific information, and we would be happy to have one-on-one conversations about their continued concerns. And Nathan Koster can meet you out in the hallway and make sure that we have a way to contact you and follow up.
Yeah, thank you for that. So the citizens who came forward definitely take advantage of that contact point. Yeah, probably best to do it with the project staff at this point. Councilmember Yang, you have the floor.
No, Mr. Chair, I just appreciate that because sometimes, folks show up and they're just confused as to who to talk to or, if there is one person that they can talk to and, giving them that opportunity just really helps. So I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Any further comments? Well, with the understanding that there will be current follow-up following all the way through future design, I will move this item forward. Any further discussion? Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to note, I just really appreciate the amount of time and care that staff is putting into doing community engagement around each of these projects. We do have an adopted bike master plan that we're now implementing as we invest in our streets, and I think it's really important that we build out that network as we've committed to, but I also see how much time and energy staff is putting into the many community meetings we're having for each project. So just wanted to note that and thank staff for all of their extra effort, especially since we've just given you a lot of extra money to spend in our roadways. So I know that they're really busy these days and I appreciate it.
Any further comment, questions? We have a motion to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Dissenting nay. That carries. Thank you. We will now move to item 2 on the agenda. It's a public hearing for the South Hay Area Residential Street Resurfacing Project Approval and Assessments.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Mike Kennedy, once again.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, again, Mike Kennedy from Public Works. This is the public hearing for the South Hay Area Residential Resurfacing Program or project. On January 27th, the City Council designated the location, streets, and improvements proposed to be made on this on the entire resurfacing program. South Hay area is bounded as shown on the diagram here. The project streets are anticipated to be resurfaced late summer of 2017 again. Again, the special assessments were determined by applying the 2017 uniform assessment rates as described earlier. We did have a community meeting on April 26th to host folks with questions. At this time, then, our recommendation is passage of resolution ordering the city engineer proceed and do the work and adopt special assessments in the amount of $892,207.25 for South Hay, and passage of a resolution requesting the Board of Estimate Taxation to issue and sell assessment bonds in the appropriate amount for this project.
Thank you. Any questions per the presentation? Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I asked this question a little bit earlier, and I don't know if staff has it at this point, but I mean, I can take it later. Just the issue of the total distance of the whole project and also just the total cost of the project relative to the assessment, and I can get that later.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing. We do have someone signed in. Alyssa Peer, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good morning. My name is Alyssa Peer, and I live at 1045 Washburn Avenue North. I'm here. I've lived in North Minneapolis for just under 20 years now, and we bought our house on Washburn about 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, after the tornado struck, and we've been restoring it ever since. And I'm just here because I know you guys aren't in charge of property taxes per se, but our taxable value is almost doubled in the time we bought it, and we're still restoring all the damage that was done. But when I got the assessment in the mail for resurfacing that'll last 10 years, our assessment's over $10,000, which equates to about over 25% annual increase over 5 years in our taxes just for asphalt. And I was just wondering what kind of, I don't know, it just seems a little onerous. I can think of a lot better things I'd rather invest $10,000 in than something that'll need to get replaced in another 10 years. And in addition, we're still obviously, I mean, it's like much of our neighbors, restoring and repairing a lot of the damage from the tornado itself. I know we had a lot of sidewalks cracked this year because I think all the roots finally have rotted out from the trees that were torn down. So we already have that. In addition to this, that we haven't gotten tagged for yet, but it's on my list of things I have to tackle. So I was just coming in because I wasn't able to make last week's meeting to ask things beforehand. And I'm not sure this works. Normally I deal with buildings. I don't deal with streets or paving. So I'm just wondering what kind of options we have as homeowners other than just spreading it out over years, because it just seems a little, I don't know, like I assume that it's like, in my naive opinion, that special assessments are for fancy things like increase, like better, more attractive lighting or planted boulevards or changing the sidewalks or something, and not something as mundane as resurfacing streets to be exactly the same way they are now with no real added benefit. I mean, in my opinion. So that's why I'm here today, just kind of wondering what to do, because it's kind of sticker shock for me that it's probably the price of my last vehicle, which lasted longer than 10 years. So anyway, that's why I'm here.
Oh, thank you
Thanks.
for that comment. Anyone else wish to come forward? Anyone signed in? Anyone wish to come forward? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and have staff address the few points that were raised.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, yes, sticker shock. I can believe that. I'm going to guess that it's probably a corner lot, or there's something about it that's causing it to be that high. That's not typical. If she would like to talk to Suzette Hermstead afterwards, maybe we can get the exact details of why it is. As far as extending the assessment, the council has taken steps before and allowed the assessment spread to go up to 7 years to help mitigate the monthly or the yearly payment if you so choose.
Very good. So you are available to discuss with the homeowner. Okay. Any further questions? Any further questions? Seeing none, I will move the item as submitted. All in favor say aye. Dissenting nay. Thank you. We'll go to our final public hearing. It's item 3, and it's the limited time parking ordinance.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, in partnership with the Department of Regulatory Services, I'm introducing Clara Schmidt-Gonzalez, who will present this next item.
Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Chair, committee members. I'm Clara Schmidt-Gonzalez, Director of Co-Compliance and Traffic Control for Regulatory Services. And we're asking for consideration today for some ordinance changes related to limited time parking. We're asking to update that language. It has not kept current with how we use limited time parking these days. The existing language refers to hours that no longer cover the range of limited time zone usage. In addition, the definition and the map of the congested zone has not kept current with city growth. After discussion with Public Works and the City Attorney's Office, it was determined that the simplest solution for this would be to remove the definition of congested zone and the congested zone map and simply direct drivers to obey the posted signage for parking limitation. So that's what the language is about, and I would be glad to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions per the staff presentation? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing. Anyone sign in for this item? Anyone wish to come forward? Anyone wish to come forward? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and thank staff for the work. I think this is an appropriate adjustment that really cleans up how we are able to regulate, and I believe our regulatory division partners are very happy for this adjustment as well. So with that, I will move the item before us. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Dissenting nay. That carries. We can now go to our final item on the agenda, which is a discussion item, and I believe it has to do with water.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, at our last meeting, we brought to you Compost Awareness Week. The month of May is a very busy month for those of us who work in public works. At this meeting, we would like to ask for your passage of a resolution declaring May 7th through 18th as Drinking Water Week. To present this information, Danette McCulley is here. She's the Water Services Business Manager with Water Distribution and Treatment Services.
Thank you. Good morning.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, good morning to you. As Robin stated, I'm here requesting a resolution to declare May 7th through the 13th Drinking Water Week. This year marks the 150th anniversary of the Public Works Water Treatment and Distribution Services Division, otherwise also known as the Minneapolis Water Works. To commemorate our anniversary, we have planned a series of events for the year, and council recognition of Drinking Water Week, if approved, will serve as a kickoff for these events. We're in the process of finalizing the exact dates, but this is a schedule of our events and the months that they are scheduled to occur. As you can see, May is Drinking Water Week, May 7th through the 13th. We have written articles for the newsletters, Minneapolis Matters, and also for inclusion in your council member newsletters if you so choose. We have social media posts, and we will also be advertising that week with a series of posters in our public buildings. In June, we have planned a community service event with a focus on source water protection. That will be occurring at the North Mississippi Regional Park. We'll be picking up trash along the river as well as planting vegetation, and you will receive an invitation to participate in that event if you're interested in doing so. July of 2017, we will be launching our commemorative book. That's an anniversary edition. We had a similar publication 50 years ago when we celebrated our 100th, and that is also something that we will provide a copy to you for your use as well. In September 2017, we'll be hosting an event at the Downtown Commons Park. There we are planning to bring our Tap Minneapolis drinking fountains and also provide staff to answer any questions and provide educational materials during a lunch hour during the week downtown. Also in September, the Director of Water Treatment and Distribution Services Division of Public Works will be presenting at the Minnesota AWWA conference about the history of the Minnesota Water Works, actually the history where we are presently and what we have planned for the future. And then last but not least, in November 2017, we are hosting an exhibit at the Hennepin County Gallery located across from the Park Cafe in the tunnel between City Hall and Hennepin County building. That gallery will be an educational display, again, highlighting our past, our present, and what we believe the future holds for the utility. And we'll also provide our residents with the opportunity to see some of our underground infrastructure that's normally not visible to the public. So we're very excited about that opportunity. I will forward a schedule of events to all members of the City Council once the dates have been finalized. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for your time today and for the opportunity to share this information with you. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember Yang.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I just wanted to say a few things about Minneapolis drinking water. I've taken several groups of people on the tour of our treatment facility, and I think one of the things that is, I don't know if I can call it a blind spot for our city, is just that there are a lot of folks in the city of Minneapolis who buy bottled water for their drinking water, and they have very little faith in tap water because of their experiences. And in a lot of ways, I mean, we can do a lot of good in terms of equity, in terms of saving people a ton of money if we, had maybe the right campaign, or if we did the right things to let people know that our tap water is probably the best in the country and that people are safe drinking tap water from the city of Minneapolis. And, I can just give an example, just typical Hmong family of, let's say, 6 to 10, I mean, they spend probably about $1,000 on drinking water every single year, and essentially they're paying probably about close to, I don't know, I want to say almost 500,000 to a million times more than what they would have paid, let's say with city water, basically from the tap. And that's insane that that's the case. And, and I can say that just for Hmong families. I mean, I can say that for probably Somali families and other immigrant families as well. And so, I mean, just kind of this idea that like we can help folks save money, put money in their pockets so that they can do other things by just drinking amazing Minneapolis tap water. I mean, that's kind of just something that is, I mean, plain and simple, just right there for folks. And, I think, the other thing that I want to say is that, I mean, with regards to Minneapolis's tap water being the best in the country, I mean, that's probably one of the main reasons why Minneapolis has thrived, in these past 150 years. And so I think it's really important to highlight that. And, when I look at the list of activities, I mean, the one thing I don't see, and again, I'm not a PR person for Public Works, but it'd be great to have an open house so that people can actually go and look at the water treatment facility, just so that people can have faith. Because I can tell you, I mean, the folks that I've taken to see the water treatment facility, I mean, they are just stunned at how amazing it is. They were stunned that themselves have put millions of dollars into the plant so that it could provide the sort of water that, all of us can be proud of. And so I think it's really important to, open it up, let people know. And if not, I mean, certainly, I mean, my office is going to try to at least schedule one tour, for folks. But, I think it's really, really important for us to, brag a little bit, let people know that we have amazing water and that people can, drink it safely, and that, it's actually good. I mean, we've done taste tests, at these water treatment facility plant tours in which people can't even tell the difference between our tap water, which is maybe about 1/100th of the cost of, like, let's say, any number of those brand name waters. And so, I mean, we got to let people know. So thank you. And I support this completely.
Well, Councilmember Yang, you are hereby deputized as a water ambassador with that enthusiastic and rousing appreciation and celebration of our water. And yeah, we've had different campaigns, but I think the heart of your point is context-specific, community-specific tailoring and language, et cetera. I think that's a way to go. Context-specific in Northeast, we thought one of the creative ways to get the water message out was to create a bar dedicated to water. And yes, the most beloved water choice was our water, particularly when you compare it to some of the other municipalities. So different ways to celebrate it, different ways to get the message out, and I think every community might have a clever spin on that. And Director Hutchinson.
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Yang, thank you so much for your comments. I think not only is this Water Week coming up, but this is really a water year, the sesquicentennial, which I've been practicing saying that word, is an opportunity to expand our outreach efforts and our education efforts. And we're happy to take some of your ideas and flesh them out so that we are more targeted, and we're not only building the confidence in our great drinking water, but potentially also making a difference in people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I suppose as a follow-up, when you think about expectations around water, you travel around the United States, there's a very low expectation. You go around the world and, you're told to boil it when you're in certain places. And so there's, I think, for people who aren't, born and raised here and had the sort of, we have good water gospel pounded into them, there's just sort of a built-in bias against public water. And so I think we run against that current as well, all pun intended. So. Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since we're having a water love fest, I just wanted to also note, I know, Mr. Chair, you and others have been working really hard to make sure that our maintenance staff are in better working conditions. I really appreciate that. I also think it's really important because we, not all, but some folks take for granted that we get fresh, clean water delivered to our homes and businesses, and that takes a lot of folks, and it takes infrastructure being maintained. And so I couldn't agree more that we need to do more to share and make sure that everyone knows that they can drink our water, but that, so many people and so much goes into that, and we need to get those folks into a good, better working condition. So thanks.
Thank you. Any further conversation? Well, for those who say Minneapolis sometimes doesn't take care of the basics, this is really taking care of the basics at a most fundamental, even elemental level. So well done, Water Division. Seeing no further commentary, we will, I think this is a receive and file. No, not a receive and file, just an announcement. It's a resolution. Oh, right. Okay. Well, we have a resolution before us. We better approve it and make it official. All in favor say aye. Aye. Dissenting nay. That is now hereby resolved. Okay. And we are adjourned. Thank you.